All right, so you want to know how to ghost? Fear not, I got you covered. The first thing that you want to have a look at when it comes to doing ghosts is obviously what kind of setup you're using. You can do basically all ghosts with any kind of device, but keep in mind if you want to do a bigger ghost, like a large cloud ghost, what I would call a giant ghost, it's going to be more difficult to do with a smaller, lower powered device. Sure, you absolutely can, of course, keep that in mind, but it will be more difficult just to make it thicker because just the amount of vapor production just isn't there. However, if you want to be able to do like a smaller ghost, almost any kind of device will have you covered. That being said, first things first, we'll have a look at the snowball ghost because that is kind of the first ghost that you should learn. It's the primary technique for how to do a ghost, and it's going to look a little bit like this. Now, just before you skip ahead, if you already know how to do ghosts and you're looking at this first part with the snowball and thinking, I've got this, let's skip along and get to this massive cloud ghost, I encourage you to stop. Just watch this first part. I've had a lot of people tell me that they've totally got the basics down and they know how to ghost, but then when I see them do it, it's all right. And I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but if you're only catching like 70, 80% of the vapor available in the ghost, or if you're going for a snowball and it's not like a perfect bowl, then you're not really succeeding. You're just kind of fooling yourself. So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy who looks at his footage and says it's clean, but it's fucking not. So just watch ahead, stick with me, and then, if you really do know everything, next time you want to have a look and get some refresher on the Cloud Ghost or whatever, obviously you can just skip it then. Okay, so what you want to do to get out a simple snowball ghost like this one is, first of all, you want your mouth shape to be just the same that you would have for a regular O. Maybe a little bit bigger, like, get a nice sort of big opening to get that big snowball out, but you want to have that same mouth shape. See how my lips aren't either really in or out? They're kind of neutral, not sticking either way. And that gives the vapor something to catch on. And what happens is that when you push the vapor out, the vapor catches the edges of your lips and top teeth, pushes out and curls, and that's how you get that snowball look, where it's basically just the start of an O, but you're catching up to it before it really forms or becomes anything. Now, to get the ghost out, for the snowball, you basically just want to push it with your tongue. Now, your tongue should be sitting towards the front of your mouth, right? So let's assume that my fingers here are my front teeth, right? So my bottom front teeth here. And then this is my tongue, right? So we're going to be sitting here like here. This is your tongue. And you want to push up from the back area, the middle and back area here, like that, to push the vapor out. So you can imagine your mouth opening is sort of here, tongue's here, push up like that, and that'll push your vapor out. And if you have a good, correct mouth shape, like we were talking about just before, it should stay together and stabilize and have that snowball effect. And then the size of the snowball really just depends on the opening of your mouth and how much vapor you inhaled into your mouth. Which brings us to another point. Whenever you're going to do a ghost, you want to inhale correctly. If you inhale too much, it's just going to make it more difficult to re-inhale the ghost after you've pushed it out, right? So you don't want to take a lung hit. You're essentially taking what we would call a bum puff. You're just inhaling into your mouth, right? So you pull on your device. Oops. So you pull on your device, and fill up your mouth. And you do this by opening up the inside of your mouth so that the space expands and draws that vapor in without actually inhaling any into your lungs. So we've got our mouth inhale, we've got our mouth shape, we've got the tongue movement, and then from there it's really just a matter of pushing it so that it comes out as clean as possible. Now with a snowball, you'll usually lose a little bit just down the bottom here. That's okay, as long as you're not losing too much and it just becomes messy. If it's a little bit, it happens. I do that, you know. So you push it out as cleanly as possible. From there, it's just inhaling. The main thing with the inhale is just not having to travel too far for it. Now, with a lot of ghosts, you will have to move a little bit to catch it. But the less you move to catch the ghost, the better it's gonna look in the end. For the cloud ghost, or giant ghost, or whatever you want to call it, it's gonna be very similar in terms of how you do the technique. However, there will, of course, be some small differences. One of the first ones being that your mouth shape doesn't need to be as strict because you're simply trying to get as much vapor out as possible and you're not as worried about the shape. And as well as pushing the vapor out with your tongue, like we talked about with the snowball ghost, you also want to add in other techniques to help push out extra vapor. One of those things is that I will close off the sort of throat and tongue muscles, all of this back here, as much of that as I can kind of squeeze and constrict. Not super hard, just so that it closes off that space and pushes a little extra vapor out. And then also, I'll close my mouth as I go. That kind of thing. Obviously a little bit quicker than that when I'm actually ghosting, but just to show you, you open your mouth, push the ghost out, and then close your mouth to help push more of that vapor out. The one other thing I'll add to this technique to get the ghost really large is that I'll exhale a tiny, small, little puff of air at the same time that I'm closing off and pushing out with all of these muscles and closing off my mouth. And that just gets the most vapor out. Now, it's very easy when you're doing this to send it too far by pushing too much power into any of these things, whether it be the air or the closing off. You can do it too fast, too strong, push too much vapor out, and it's just impossible to catch. But if you do it controlled enough, you can get it so that it comes out fat but doesn't go too far. You can bring it back in. But this is where it gets hard. Big ass ghost needs a whole lot of air, right? So this, to a degree, for me might be because I personally do have just large lungs. I have more capacity for air. But I do believe that how I do it has a big impact. And that is that I exhale completely all my air so that my stomach goes flat. And for those of you who maybe have never looked into how you breathe before, maybe your chest raises when you're breathing, that's not really how you're supposed to breathe. Your stomach is supposed to do most of the work. There's a muscle in here, right, called your diaphragm, which raises and lowers to help you breathe. So what I do is lowering that diaphragm, expelling all my air so that my stomach sort of comes in and I'm getting as much air out as possible before I do it. And then I take the mouth hit, so I haven't even really inhaled anything into my lungs. They're as empty as possible. I take my mouth hit, get my ghost technique for the big ghost that we've just talked about. And that way when I go to inhale it, I've got as much capacity to bring it back as possible. And that's really all there is to it. And that means it's now time for examples with different devices. First, we're gonna take a look at doing ghosts with a small pod device like the Moti pod device I have here, which is also the sponsor of today's post. They sent me a bunch of flavors, a couple devices, and some merch, and I've tried everything. They've got some really nice menthols, really strong, some tobacco, a couple of desserts as well. Right now I'm using the lemon iced tea, but to do these tricks, I've switched out for a pre-filled pod with a 0 nicotine liquid in here because I don't like to do tricks with nicotine. It limits how much you can practice. That said, here's an example of a snowball ghost with a pod device. Alright, so that's going to be all there is to it for this video. Please check out my Instagram at Metal and Tricks. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, any feedback at all, let me know down in the comments. If you want to, like and subscribe. And that'll be it. Have a good one, guys.